I think it's time to come clean with our listeners.
That sounds pretty ominous. Do I need to be concerned?
Yeah, well, we've been hiding the truth from them for a couple of weeks.
I really do think you're making a bigger deal out of this than you should.
Well, it doesn't seem fair to keep it from them any longer.
You're talking about Andor, aren't you?
I am. I'll explain after the show intro. This is Tatooine Sons.
Alrighty.
It's true. All of it.
What is the name of the porg on the Millennium Falcon?
Force is strong in my family.
What do you think his name is? It's a big moment.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Maybe Turbis?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Turbis? Pablo, if you're listening to this live stream, that porg's name is now Turbis. It's a good Star Wars name.
We're not done yet.
These guys recorded an awesome podcast called Tatooine Sons. Everybody listen to that.
So Boba Fett's disappeared?
I mean, it's kind of appropriate. You know, he fell into a Sarlacc pit. This one fell into a forest, and I couldn't find it. I mean, the only issue is this one's not coming back.
Call us Dave Filoni. We'll tell you the story, and you can steal it for another future episode.
Oh, yeah, because it's very...
Why'd you just call out Dave?
Dave Filoni?
Yeah.
He's not stealing anything from us before. I'm offering him to steal this from us.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sam's a rocket shot in the sky.
It was awesome. It was a perfect flight.
Deployed the parachute.
Awesome. It was perfect.
Landed.
And then the wind took it into a forest, and I couldn't find it. So
that sucks.
But overall, it was a perfect flight, so I'll just do it again. And this time I'll paint it Mandalorian themed.
So it's a Din Djarin, not a Boba Fett.
I'm going to call it the Razor Crest. The last one was the Spitfire. This one's
go.
the Razor Crest.
Makes sense. Welcome to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast. The only fan podcast to name a canon Star Wars creature and to be endorsed by the writer and the director of The Glass Onion, Ryan Johnson. Just watch that trailer. We're going to talk about that trailer. It looks really good.
It does look
and
good.
also The Last Jedi.
Yes. That's also
just if you didn't know. We believe that pop culture is the mythology of our generation, that there is a story, it is written on our souls, and that these myths speak to that story. And that is why we talk about Star Wars and Willow, right? Mm-hmm. And Marvel. And we'll throw some DC in there at some point, I'm sure. With it, I am David. I am the dad.
Hi, Dad.
Hello, gentlemen. I am honored to be joined every week by my two amazing sons, BB Nate. To what are we going to be discussing?
You having some trouble there, Dad?
With you henceforth. I'm trying to do a disenchanted thing, and it just didn't work. So
Yeah, no, that didn't work at all.
Willow's pretty magical.
Oh, come on. I should go over there and slap you.
that was way too easy.
That was easy.
There was no setup, no payoff.
But it's true. So
I mean, he is right.
Samuel the Hutt.
Who is the next Black Panther?
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. I think we all
Everybody knows who the next Black Panther is.
Dad.
We've already seen episode 10 of Andor.
Wait, you did?
We have.
Yes, and that was what we've been keeping. We've actually saw 9 and 10 before most of the world.
Suckers. Sorry.
And it's awesome. And if you liked episode 9, you
are going to
absolutely lose your mind over episode 10.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll talk about episode 9 a little bit later. Thank you so much for listening to the show. We definitely appreciate you downloading and listening every single week. If you aren't whatever it is, following the show on your favorite podcast app,
Cool.
please do so.
We appreciate
Follow the show, download it, share with your friends, get the word out.
People still download podcasts?
Yeah, my podcasts download to my phone.
Cool.
Don't they download to your phone?
No, I not
You
really.
stream them?
Yeah,
Is that it?
stream.
I'm old now. All right. Why don't we stop talking about this stuff? Well, let's stop talking about what we're going to talk about. That's what we just did, right? Now we're going to talk about what we're talking about.
There we go.
Come on, Nate, save this show. All right.
Well, we caught up with most of the world a couple months ago and finally watched Willow.
Finally watched Willow.
It's been a long time, and it was a ton of fun. So I'm going to recap a few points, some characters to refresh everyone before the show comes out, since this is almost a 40-year-old movie.
No, it's old, almost as old as your dad.
Almost.
That's old.
Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Yeah, I can fly.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
The people in this room, which one is A, wearing a spangly outfit, and B, not of use?
There's only one God, man, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
That man has no limits.
To watch Willow and watch other things and realize that you guys have interacted with Warwick Davis on stage.
A little bit, yeah. It is a little weird.
that was like the beginning of the Genesis story. It was our part of our. Yeah. It's like our background, our origin. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Warwick's awesome.
Celebration. He was awesome. He's a great host. I wish we. I love for him to host more stuff at Celebration, and he'll be in London this year, so it's likely he'll be there more often. So anyway,
yes. So let's start off with the rating on a scale of 1 to 10 babies with weird birthmarks for the movie.
Original.
Of the original Willow. I'm gonna be careful and not say mine yet. Go Shmooly Claus.
I'll go with a 7.
A 7. Okay.
I mean, I mean, maybe it's just because it was a little dated, but I don't remember it too much. I remember it being fun. It was different than most fantasy movies you watch. It wasn't as, I guess, for lack of a better term, reverent. I mean, I don't remember the character's name. I'm sure you'll talk about it, but Val Kilmer's character,
Mad Mardigan.
Right. He was, the way he talked and interacted didn't feel reminiscent of most fantasy characters. It felt more like a kind of Han Solo.
Yeah, that's a good
which
one.
I'm not complaining. It felt different, but maybe on a second watch through, I'd like it. Some of the effects were a little, I mean, for the time were obviously just cutting edge, but I mean, yeah, I'll give it a 7. Maybe I'm just a Lord of the Rings shill.
Well, you are, but that's okay. Amazon's paying you well.
They are. They're lining my pockets.
That's what the world thinks. I would give it a 6. And that means I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I felt like the execution wasn't great. I think the mythology and the backstory in it are fantastic, which then leads to where we're going with this series, because I think that they set up a world.
You mentioned execution, and I think that's where it was for me.
Yeah, so I think the world of Willow is fascinating.
Definitely.
I like how they kind of just jumped right in with the story. They didn't give you a bunch of backstory. They just they dropped you in the middle of the story and let you figure it out. So I enjoyed that, but I did think that the execution of certain pieces of it were not as good as it should have been. And there's a reason why this movie has sort of just got a cult following. It's not considered a big fan thing. And so that's, I feel like I'm in agreement with probably most of fans about this one. So
I'll give it a 6.5. I'll go right between you guys. I'll split the difference. But no, I mean, it was fun, but it just felt, dated and it just a little off. But this new show looks really good. It looks like they're going to execute it very well. But let's get into it. Actually,
so basically, your segment is helping people that haven't seen Willow to know a little bit about it.
Well, it's a good refresher for me too, because I don't remember much.
I'm just explaining a little bit of each character and then asking kind of where they will be in the next show, so that it
very
helps.
Cool.
Yes, but Willow actually came out in 1988, and like you said, it was actually, when it came out, it was received pretty well.
I just remember the Burger King glasses, like they had Star Wars glasses.
Oh,
they had
nice.
Those are awesome.
Glasses. I had one.
That's cool.
But it only became more popular as the years went by because of the cult following. But a big part of this movie is, of course, Warwick Davis.
Absolutely.
And his wonderful portrayal of Willow Ufgood. At only 18 years old.
Really?
Impressive.
Wow.
So what did y'all think of Willow's journey in this movie? Kind of it followed a very hero's journey-esque story.
It was very cut and paste hero's journey, but I liked it. I think he was an interesting character. I liked how he kind of already had a family as he started. That's not something that you encounter a lot with main characters. You know, them already having a family,
happy family.
A happy family.
Unlike Andor.
Yes,
right?
for real. But them having a family and then going on a journey, that's different. And I liked that. I thought it was interesting, the whole magic aspect, him trying to be a magician or a wizard. I don't remember. Sorcerer, that's it. I knew they had a name for it. Yeah, I liked it a lot. So
yeah, I thought it was fun. I do like, you brought it up, but I think it's a difference that you see in this versus other things. He's already an adult, basically. He's got a family, he's got responsibilities, but he's also still dreaming of being this magician and all that. And he ends up having to leave his family to go on his hero's journey, which is a difference with it. And so it is a fun story, and and Willow's character, Warwick Davis, I think, you say it basically earlier in the show, but the story itself is not as great as Warwick Davis's portrayal of Willow.
Mm-hmm.
So
he's great. So where do you think his story can go in the show?
Oh, I think it's pretty clear where the story goes. The child, from the latest trailer especially, the child that, the Hebrew symbol.
It seriously looked like
the Hebrew sheen on its arm, basically. It looks like the birthmark. It has been protected, but doesn't even know its own importance, and something is going to put that child, now an adult, in danger again, and the world that he's in is going to have to require Willow to create a fellowship and go rescue it again. So I think that's pretty much the only thing that could happen with this.
I mean, I want to see more of him, as he's grown as a sorcerer, because we know he's been practicing since the movie. He got pretty good there at the end, but he's only... Maybe he actually hasn't gotten better. Maybe, he kind of put it off for a while, kind of like Luke did in Last Jedi. He's just like, I didn't really need it anymore. It was distracting, or I didn't like it.
Yeah, I don't get that from the trailers, though.
No? Okay. Yeah. But I do want to see more of his magics and stuff. I think it's cool.
Little side question. Do you think this series is Disney's answer to Rings of Power and House of the Dragon?
I do. Yep. I think it fits within the Disney space. I think that it's a property that Lucasfilm has wanted to revive for a long time.
It just felt right now.
You've got a character that, like we talked about, the character and a backstory, a universe that has a deep mythology already built out, and I think that the world will love to see Warwick Davis play this character. He's got such a fan following that I think it's going to be great.
There was actually a trilogy of novels that came out of this movie. People aren't sure if they're going to be canon to this story or not, but it'll be interesting to see if they
goodness.
take
So we're going to have I was literally about to make a comment, and like, well, at least we don't have content for people to make a headcanon off of. Maybe not.
But the driving plot for the movie is to save this baby. I completely forgot to put her name in this, and I'm really not sure what it is.
It's just the baby.
It's the baby.
We'll call her baby.
Call her the child.
The child.
That is prophesized to save the kingdom, and it actually ends up being on Willow's shoulders to do that. Now, we know that we're going to be seeing the baby in this show all grown up, but she doesn't know who she is.
Right.
Do you think there is a possibility that she's the villain of this series?
Wow, I had never thought about that.
I'd like that, because she doesn't know what she's supposed to be.
Exactly.
So that would make an interesting point. I don't exactly remember the baby's significance in the original movie. I don't know why she was so
I forget that.
Consequential. Does she have abilities, like extra magic powers or something? I really need to watch this movie again, honestly. But I think it would be cool with such a significant character with potentially large powers and stuff being this force, and Willow's gonna probably have some problems. Well, not problems, but it's going to be tough for him because he's sacrificed so much to try and save this baby, and then all of a sudden it's kind of going the other direction. So I'd like that. Yeah.
I don't know if I want that sort of Anakin-esque storyline. This prophesied chosen one child is rescued and then all of a sudden turns to the dark side and becomes evil, and then that it feels too Star Warsy with it.
Lucasfilm, though.
It is Lucasfilm, but that doesn't mean that it has to follow that.
They could mesh the universes.
Do you think that
no?
There's often been, there's fan theories that these are the same universe, that it's ancient something.
Like mix it with E.T. as well.
Well, yeah,
it all fits.
Anyway, yeah, I don't like the idea of her being the bad guy.
Really,
okay. I don't want her to be. I don't want to see chosen one, prophesied, rescued, turns evil. Willow has to go. She gets redeemed. I don't want to see that happen. I think that's too Star Warsy. So
that's fair.
Okay, what about you? Do you like the idea?
I think it would work if they do it right, because of it's different than. Because Anakin knew he was the chosen one. She doesn't. So she could really just be based off of maybe she started to follow in the Evil Queen's teachings or legacy, and she doesn't know what the deal is. And so I think it would be an interesting, if they do it well and they do it differently than Anakin, it could be good.
Okay.
I get your point.
That's fair enough.
That's interesting.
Yes. And now for Mad Mardigan, he was a big deal in the movie.
Now, isn't that Val Kilmer's character?
Val Kilmer.
Yeah. Okay.
He was kind of the muscle. But we haven't heard if he's going to be in the show quite yet due to health issues and medical problems that he's been dealing with. So we don't know. If Mad Mardigan isn't in the show, how should they handle that situation? Because he was a huge part of the original movie and even the ending and everything.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that, you'd have him die off screen and that type of thing.
It's just like...
Or maybe he's just retired. Let's just say he's retired, because that's better.
He's too, then you're going to have this whole thing where you have to feel like they're teasing he could come back and all that. I think that if he's not going to be in it, I think they need to deal with that early on in the first episode sometime and let people know, so you don't have that speculation that's going on, because that speculation could create a lot of frustration with fans if they think that he's coming and not, and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I don't know. I want a mention of him,
because he got together with Saoirse at the end of the movie. So, and she's in this series, so they're gonna have to deal with.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They're gonna have to address it at some point.
I think logically it would have to be he died somehow.
Yeah,
which is. Again, not ideal. It's not the way you want to handle a character by having them die off screen. But I just don't know how. I get you make a good point, Dad, with them. If they don't say, look, he's not coming back, everybody's going to want him to come back and expect him to come back.
Like a cameo or something like that.
Right. I mean, maybe they could do something simple like what they did in Top Gun with Iceman. Maybe he's like a king and he's just chilling on the throne or something.
Is that why they had Iceman play the character that he does? Because he's sick. You said that.
He has health issues. I don't know what the health issues are, but I'm pretty sure it has to do something around that. He's not doing well.
That's sad.
That's too bad.
Definitely. And lastly, Saoirse, the Evil Queen's daughter, who eventually overthrew her and all that. We know she's going to be in the show, played by the same actress as it was in the original movie, which is
that's
awesome.
Cool.
So what do y'all think her arc is going to be? Do you think she kind of somehow becomes corrupted with power and becomes like her mother again due to the bloodline?
I hope they bring in a separate villain. I don't want to see one of our characters from the original Willow suddenly become evil and they have to battle against it. I want
a rising evil, and maybe Saoirse, is involved in helping bring Willow back and that kind of thing. And so maybe that's part of the story with Mad Mardigan. Maybe that's why Willow has given up his powers, or maybe he's gone into retirement or whatever you want to exile or whatever because of something that happened with him in Mad Mardigan. Maybe Mad Mardigan got killed with Willow and Willow blames himself for it, and so he's in hiding with it. And so then Saoirse is the one that has to come back and basically be the one to pull him back in. Because she's, maybe there's conflict between Willow and Saoirse over that event, and that's the only, Saoirse is the one that comes in. So
do you think Mad Mardigan died trying to find the child due to the events that are taking place?
Yeah, I don't
because Willow's having to go into the unknown basically and figure out
into the unknown.
You shouldn't have said that.
I know, but it was all I had to do. But it could be likely that that's how he died. Maybe Willow and him teamed up, and like you said, he died.
It would be interesting to see it. It'd be fun to watch. I like going into a series that has got this level of production value, and it seems like they're really selling it without having, like you were saying. I mean, they did the novels, but nobody read those, so. You don't have a ton of headcanon coming in here.
Right.
Yet you do have a history. You do have some understanding of the backstory. It's very different than the House of Dragons and Game of Thrones, because those were based on, Game of Thrones was based on novels. So everybody had this expectation. House of Dragons got all of that mythology backing it up. Obviously, Rings of Power has all of the mythology of the Silmarillion and the Middle-earth tales and all of that. This one, you've got a movie 40 years old that people sort of liked, but it's got...
That's about it.
That's about it. And so you come into this story with a very different perspective, and I think that's going to make it exciting.
It is going to make it very exciting. So the Willow show releases on November 30th on Disney+, but the Willow movie is already on there, so go and watch that wonderful film.
We probably should watch it again.
Yeah, we need to watch it again.
With that. Good segment, BB Nate.
Good job, Nate.
That's hard. You know, there wasn't anything DC happening this week.
No, there isn't.
But that's okay.
That's soon.
I think there's stuff coming in the future.
Let's hope.
All right. Let's talk about Is It Canon? Yeah. This week's Is It Canon might just honestly be too obvious.
Okay.
Let's see what
Unless that's like a bait and switch there.
Well, we'll see what the Sons think.
This is not going to go the way you think.
All right. For those of you just tuning in for the first time to the show, you may not know what's going on right now. So I'll explain. It's called Is It Canon? Basically, I go to Wikipedia. I hit the random article button.
How many times did it take today?
It took 3 this time.
Oh.
And then I find something that pops up, and I read the title, read the description from Wikipedia, and then the Sons debate whether or not that is canon or not canon. All right. So you guys ready for this? It's
ready.
It's called The Freedom of Sullust.
Okay.
All right. The Freedom of Sullust was a CR-90 Corvette of the New Republic Defense Fleet in 11 after the Battle of Yavin. Freedom of Sullust was part of a task force sent to the Casselian space surrounding the Maw to engage a pirate raid on a space transport. The Invid forces under the command of Shala the Hutt began taking losses, but were saved by the timely arrival of Leonia Tavira and Invidious. In the subsequent battle, Freedom of Sullust took heavy damage from Invidious's guns and was driven from the fight. I'll have you start, BB Nate. Canon or legends?
I don't know. I mean, I'd like to say canon, but I'm not 100% sure. Legends, I don't know. This feels very much like a legend story, but it could also be an RPG story. I don't know. It kind of fits that too.
Well, that's legends though. If it's RPG, so I mean, I can't.
I'm just gonna say legends, just because it feels like that. But I really don't have anything to base that off on. I don't know.
I'm gonna go canon.
Really? Split decision.
This feels more along the lines of like, I know Aftermath isn't the right timeline because
Alphabet Squadron, maybe.
Yeah, somewhere around there. The main clue that's making me think that this is canon is the Maw, because that was only introduced in Solo when you're talking about Kessel. So, you know, there's been a lot less Legends content that's come out since Solo's come out.
No Legends content.
Right. So that's why I'm going to go with it sounds canon.
What do you think about his argument?
It's fair. I don't know. I'm just...
You're just guessing.
You're like, I don't know, man.
It's from iJedi. iJedi is a Star Wars Legends novel written by Michael A. Stackpole. It was first published on May 4th, 1998 by Bantam Spectra. The novel is, like I said, set in 11 after the Battle of Yavin. It follows Corran Horn and his quest to become a Jedi in order to save his wife, Mirax.
Is this a happy family?
I don't know. The novel's plot takes place around the time of Kevin J. Anderson's Jedi Academy trilogy and revisits much of that story. iJedi also features several characters from Stackpole's X-Wing Rogue Squadron comic book series. You are incorrect about the Maw.
Apparently so.
I remember when the Super Bowl trailer, I think it's like one of the very rare times that kind of thing has happened. The Super Bowl trailer for Solo, a Star Wars story, came out. And we saw the Maw, the Imperial Destroyer coming through with the Maw. I remember Yoda Bauer. You guys know Yoda Bauer.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I remember her tweeting about how this is the first time we've seen the Maw and had anything talking about it since iJedi. And so I thought it was an interesting. So
That's
shout
cool.
out to Yoda
I'm the
Bauer.
best.
You got it.
You're so good. You were so confident in your answer too.
Yeah,
I really.
You're like, man, I really do think it's Legends.
I could have just flipped a coin.
That's about what you did.
That's about what I did.
Well, why don't we move forward in the story then? Samuel, is there anything happening in the movies this week?
A little
that you
bit.
might want to talk
Yeah.
Is there anything Marvel related going on?
Yeah. Wakanda Forever is actually releasing this week.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll do a quick recap of what you need to know before watching, as well as what you can expect to see in the movie. We'll also give our crazy predictions that probably won't.
They're sure to go wrong.
Be on your guard. There are older and fouler things than orcs in the deep places of the world.
All right, then, keep your secrets.
You're coming to us. Is as the footsteps of do's and do's.
There are many magic rings in this world, Bilbo Baggins, and none of them should be used lightly.
What is that Vision Quest thing? Is that legit?
Yep. Absolutely.
What is it?
It's a sequel series to WandaVision following White Vision.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought that was like a fan thing.
No. So do we have like 2 sequel series, or is there more?
We have the
Agatha.
Well, I thought that was a spin-off more.
It's a sequel series.
Okay.
She has to get out of the weird grid thingy.
Or is it a prequel? Do we know?
Oh, yeah, it might be a
it's a sequel.
prequel.
I don't know if we know.
I think it's a prequel.
I think it's a story about her getting in there.
Yeah.
But there's a villain in it.
Well, there's going to be villains in all the stories.
yeah.
Anyway.
Agatha's the villain.
It was Agatha all along. Anyway.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and briefly run through kind of everything that's been leading up to this movie ever since Black Panther, the first movie, came out. So after Black Panther, they opened the borders of Wakanda, and then right after that, Infinity War happens, and they're like, I guess we got to help now. So that was kind of a bad decision. And then during the blip, not a lot. Well, we don't know a lot happened with Wakanda. Okoye, I think I'm saying the name right, helps in Endgame when she's talking about like underwater earthquakes and stuff, which
is Namor.
Which is
that's like after the 5 years, right?
Yes, that's right when like the stuff in Endgame's happening. Which yes, you're right, Nate. A lot of people do think that has something to do with Namor.
I hadn't thought about that.
And then the Dora Milaje do some stuff in Wilkin and
Falcons and Winter Soldier.
Yes,
Falcon.
Winter Soldier.
Jesus. All right. Anyway, in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Is that how it's said?
I've heard it both ways. I'm pretty sure that's how it's supposed to be pronounced. Do you guys think that we see more of what Wakanda did during the blip? I mean, it would kind of explain why in the trailer Ramonda says that her entire family is gone. Kind of felt weird because I'm like, Shuri's still there?
Yeah.
I'm like, why is she saying her? Like, that's kind of mean to Shuri. So what do y'all think?
It could be that definitely could be. It could be during the blip. But the thing is they said this was going to be set a year after what we've seen in Phase 4. So,
well, it could be like a time, a flashback.
It could be a time jump.
I also heard a year. I'd heard it was a significant time jump. Are you hearing a year?
That's what I've heard.
I've heard significant time jump. Like
That's
it could
a
be even more.
significant time jump.
That's pretty significant for Marvel, if we're being honest. 5 years was crazy in Endgame.
That was crazy. But I think that it either definitely could be that. It could be the classic Marvel misdirection that they always do in their trailers.
Where you just never see that clip again.
You never hear that line one time in the entire movie.
Right. It also could be that somehow how Shuri gets her powers of Black Panther and all that stuff, since, you know, the flower thingies are burnt up.
Oh, yeah.
Because of Killmonger.
That's kind of...
Maybe she somehow is claimed to be dead, but she's like just in a different type of plane or something,
like a different dimension.
There's the ancestral plane and stuff.
So I'm wondering if it'll be like that, and she at that point.
Ooh, I hadn't even thought about this.
All her whole family's dead, and then Shuri's going to come back and save everybody.
Black Panther power.
Black Panther.
I don't know.
That'd be cool.
That's kind of cool.
I haven't thought about Wakanda Forever enough. All I've thought about is how sad I am Chadwick Boseman's not.
Yeah.
That's all I've thought about.
I gotta wear white to the movie.
Oh yeah, we got to remember that Saturday. So, I don't understand how the blip is going to fit into this. I think that I don't understand the question. Maybe.
Well, I'm just like, do you think that we get some time jumps to show what Wakanda's been doing in that 5 years? Because
like some different pieces since like the Black Panther movie,
right? I mean, because they made a major political decision at the end of Black Panther to then open their borders to the world and help the world.
Well, I think
and then we
that's
saw like nothing of it.
What the result is it's been a complete disaster for Wakanda. And that's what we see when, we have Ramonda talking about her entire family's gone. She's like at a UN thing again, is what it looks like. So I think that she's going to basically say this was a complete mistake, which is pretty devastating because is it T'Challa that sort of leads them to do that?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Mm-hmm.
So that's a pretty heavy thing to have to deal with on that.
Yeah, well, moving on to Wakanda Forever itself. We know that T'Challa's family, as you're mentioning, is left to carry on his legacy of opening Wakanda to the world. And this is, of course, met with challenges, some that we are speculating on, some that we know. First off, it would be that we see some, I think they're French mercenaries.
There's some type of mercenary, yeah.
Well, I think it's been confirmed in something that they're
Cool.
French. I don't know what that has to do. Maybe Batroc comes back or something. But they're trying to get their hands in that vibranium. That's the whole thing on the ship and all that.
Okay. It's Zemo.
And then,
It's Zemo.
I don't think he's
that
French.
would be interesting.
That would be awesome.
But that would be cool. And then obviously Namor is a bit of an issue. We got his motives finally. He doesn't seem to really have an issue with Wakanda. He has an issue with the rest of the world. He says kind of Wakanda cares for its land, but the world doesn't, and he wants to fix that. So he doesn't have a problem with Wakanda, but if Wakanda gets in the way, then he won't really hesitate.
Calm down, Aquaman.
Well,
this is just Flashpoint Paradox Aquaman.
So I'll be honest, I haven't seen all of the clips, so I don't know if this is legit or not. I got this info from Rotten Tomatoes website.
Hey, look at Rotten Tomatoes.
So they're pretty legit, I think.
Yeah, they are.
So first, Namor and T'Challa have had beef in the comics a lot.
What is their battle or their conflict?
At one point, I remember that Black Panther at one point, or Wakanda, killed somebody in Namor's kingdom, and Namor just lost it.
Okay.
And he sent a tidal wave through Wakanda, which might actually happen in this movie, because you do see Wakanda getting flooded.
Oh, yeah.
And then people are speculating that that's why all of Wakanda's up at M'Baku's tribe, because it's on mountains and it's snow,
they can't really
and water
flood.
people can't really do that, and they can't handle cold temperatures. So
That's a good point.
people are wondering if that's the case, but I think it's. I do believe there is a very small chance that T'Challa and Namor met, because
that was going to be my question: is if they had met, you think, before this movie?
Okoye is confused by why there's earthquakes underwater, and if T'Challa and Namor met, she probably would be pretty understanding as to why there are earthquakes underwater, random earthquakes. So she probably know why those are happening, but in Endgame she doesn't know why those are happening. So I don't think that T'Challa and Namor
it doesn't mean T'Challa is gonna give all the info to this chick all the time.
Maybe that's where she leaves in Endgame, is to go find this out, and that leads us to something with T'Challa. And he's blipped.
He's blipped. He doesn't come back until right at the end of Endgame.
But if they've had a time jump, and let's say T'Challa's death is right at the beginning of the new timeline, then there could be a possibility that Namor and T'Challa met during those periods.
Yeah, that's a good point, because through the earthquakes they discovered the Talikins. Is that what they are?
Talikins.
And that's how they met. That's a good point. from the trailers, we know that there's a funeral being held for T'Challa. So it seems that the movie is taking place pretty close to his death. At least we can assume that parts of it take place pretty close to his death. A couple more things we know is a new Black Panther appears. Kind of hard to have a Black Panther movie without Black Panther. We don't technically know who takes up the role, but I think we can pretty much figure out it's Shuri at this point. Yeah. It makes the most sense.
A bunch of people are like, "Oh, there's going to be like multiple people taking up the suit for Black Panther," that. And then I'm like, "Well, I want you guys to think that through. Black Panther is not the suit; it's the person.
Mantle,
and you can't have multiple people being Black Panther
because of the powers that they receive.
Right. Only one person that is allowed to have it at a time, so it can't be M'Baku, Okoye, Shuri." I mean,
unless the mask is endued with the powers, and the person that has the mask has got the powers.
Maybe it's just like a suit. It's like Iron Man, basically. You know,
that's not Black Panther, though.
Well, yeah, but they don't really have the fruits. So.
That's true. But there is a scene in the trailers that keep getting shown. It's Shuri in the room that we see the Dora Milaje in, and the fire.
Yeah,
just crawling.
It's like a ceremony to me.
And that's so true. I'm wondering if that's when it takes place, or her transformation into Black Panther takes place.
It will be interesting to see how they do that, because that's an open storyline from the original Black Panther movie that has to be resolved for this to make sense. Right. It didn't have to make sense when Chadwick Boseman was around and he could play T'Challa, but now that they've had to make this pivot, this shift away from that, unfortunately, they have to find a way to make that fit in universe, and that's a resolution that has to be presented. So,
and then we know that Riri Williams, or Ironheart, makes her appearance in this movie, probably through. I think we heard at the end of Black Panther that when they were opening their borders, they were going to start doing programs and stuff, like educational programs. That's probably where.
I have a prediction for that.
I got a prediction. You got a prediction? Okay. Now, the time, we kind of talked about it, but the timeline's a bit uncertain. So, definitively, when do you guys think that this takes place?
I genuinely think, I don't know where I read it, but I read somewhere it takes a year after like some of the Phase 4 stuff that we see.
So, what's the latest Phase 4 thing we've gotten other than
timeline-wise? I think latest Phase 4 thing would technically be She-Hulk, because they mentioned the Celestial in the water and She-Hulk.
Okay, that's a good point.
So that would probably be the most recent, because that takes place after Hawkeye, which is Christmas. And Shang-Chi was before.
Shang-Chi was one of the more recent ones. Or no,
Shang-Chi was before Eternals and all that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like recent as in like.
Definitely not Black Widow.
Endgame.
Oh, yeah.
It's not Black Widow.
No, yeah.
But yeah, I think it would be after She-Hulk.
Okay.
So, yeah, it takes place a little while after Endgame.
Dad?
I wonder if they don't time jump even further than that, and then fill in some things through like Ant-Man Quantumania and some of that. I heard that it was like it was a significant time jump.
We'll have to figure out if we were right.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see. Yeah. So we just have a few days to figure that out.
What do you guys think of Namor's motives? Do you think there's more under the surface?
I surely hope so.
Me too.
Honestly. I don't want to sympathize for a second with the villain in the MCU again. I mean, Thanos is terrible in the comics. He's an absolutely horrible, evil villain. But in the MCU, they made him somebody that wanted to help with resources and his species, but he was going at it the wrong way.
Right.
That seems like they're going this way.
This does feel like a rehash.
And I'm sitting,
the humanitarian.
I'm sitting here.
Thing.
I'm like, Black Adam got their villain right, and the MCU needs to stop making the audience think that, oh, well, maybe this villain is in their right mind, and they're just going at it the wrong way.
You're working with something different though with Namor, because while yes, he's the antagonist for this movie, he's not a villain. He has the potential for becoming a hero later on.
He's an anti-hero in the comics.
So they kind of have to give him a motive that's not, oh, everybody's evil and I want to kill everyone.
But I want a villain for this movie. I don't want...
Do you think that we get a third villain, a third character?
I think there kind of has to be a Batman v Superman sort of moment.
All right, why don't we just go into those then?
Okay. Well, I got one more question before we go into that, but what do you guys hope to see in regards to handling T'Challa's and Chadwick's passing in this movie.
I think due to the long run time and just judging by what the director Ryan Coogler has said, it's going to allow the audience to kind of grieve with the characters, because it was a horrible event that happened with Chadwick's passing, and T'Challa is going to be devastating to Wakanda, and so they're going to let it breathe. They're going to let us be able to go through that journey with these characters, and it's going to be rough. I've heard a lot of people say this movie's not easy to watch because of all of that. It's a tough movie, but I hope I know they'll do justice to the character.
It's hard to have a character like this die on screen,
right?
But I do think that for the story, the character has to do that. You have to see that happen, and then it has to be shocking, not in its presentation, but in
just
in the way that the story is being told. It's a shocking moment, and then it has to allow us to experience the loss that his family and Wakanda and other Avengers, have, so that we can put aside T'Challa in this. And I also think that Chadwick Boseman he loved this character. He loved playing this character. And I think that he would want this character to go out, unlike, we were talking on the Willow segment earlier about Mad Mardigan, right? That one dying off screen is very different than T'Challa.
Right. This is
dying
T'Challa
off screen. You have to see this happen, and so I think that we even got some teases of it in the trailers.
Do you think that the way that they can do this storyline is just through like bits and pieces? Do you think Shuri was there, and do you think that we see bits and pieces of a memory or a dream or something?
No, I think that
you open every now and then, just kind of throughout the movie, seeing that.
No, I know exactly what Dad's thinking. It's an opening sequence.
The episode or the film with a battle that involves T'Challa, and T'Challa is killed on screen, and it is devastating in the way that it's presented, and you grieve and you mourn, and it goes forward with it. And then you have to be able to have that opportunity to set that character aside with his family and with Wakanda and with the world, as it may be the time jump that they're talking about is the period after that, before we start seeing them trying to pick that up, and not the 5 years later type thing in Endgame, but feeling like that that moment is critical. So
I agree. All right, well let's get into it. Let's do some predictions. Sure to go wrong, Nate. You've been chopping at the bit over there, so go for it.
But these might not go wrong. These are just predictions.
Okay.
The first one, I am almost certain we see Ned and MJ in this, make at least a little cameo because of Riri Williams being at MIT.
Oh, yeah.
And if this is set in a significant time jump, Ned and MJ are already well established in the engineering place of MIT. Wouldn't shock me at all if we see this happen, due to the fact that Ned and MJ are just so important to the MCU right now. Who knows? Maybe we even see a couple of references to Peter at some point somehow.
Wow.
But because I do think that Wakanda has like a kind of a school
study
abroad kind of thing with MIT and Wakanda.
That'd be kind of cool,
and that's why Riri's in Wakanda. That's prediction one, which wouldn't.
Okay, so what's prediction two?
Yeah, what's
prediction two? Is the main villain of this movie is the White Tiger. And I would not be surprised at that.
Vaguely heard of it.
White Tiger is the long lost half brother of Shuri and T'Challa, who's a villain in the comics, and it attacks Wakanda.
You heard it here, folks, because that sounds really interesting.
That sounds awesome.
It wouldn't surprise me if that's the real villain of this story.
I like it,
and it wouldn't surprise me if he's the one that actually killed T'Challa.
Wow.
And that's what makes it so devastating.
I hope.
Although it kind of feels reminiscent of Black Panther, because wasn't Killmonger like some sort of like long lost cousin?
Yes, but
it sounds
ties.
cool.
Come on.
Yeah. It would, make, again, Ramonda's line of, family's gone mean even more.
Right.
Because it's like, hey, Mom, you forgot about me,
And so I'll kill your other son.
Oh, jeez.
Ooh. Jeez.
Yeah, that'd be hard.
Yikes. Dad?
Right. Well, I hope I don't steal Sam's, but
probably not.
I would. This is one's pretty sure to go wrong. But
Sure.
if it happened, it would be pretty awesome. Since we have Ironheart in this, and she's obsessed with Iron Man, get some kind of a flashback of her meeting Iron Man at MIT, and you have a Robert Downey Jr. cameo in this.
Or maybe
You kind of stole it, but I actually want to one-up it.
Okay, go for
I
it.
kind of hope that somehow, I don't know how they'd manage it, and this one's definitely not going to happen, but I think it'd be cool. I want the AI in her suit to be Tony somehow.
No way!
That would be
he uploaded his
consciousness or something.
That's totally a way Tony Stark.
'Cause I could totally see Tony doing
you know
that.
how she gets that due to the fact that she's not really connected to Tony Stark.
Right.
She meets with Pepper Potts.
Yeah.
And she gets and Pepper Potts gives her a gift that has that AI. That would be,
I think that would be.
I like both of yours better than mine, so I'm hoping that
because
both
then you
happen.
get semi-regular Tony Stark still in the MCU,
MCU.
but you're not just bringing back Iron Man.
He's just doing some voiceovers occasionally.
Yeah, he just does some voice lines,
and he's in the Iron Man suit. I mean, he's in the Ironheart suit.
Right.
So
right. I think I hope for it. It's not going to happen, but it'd be freaking cool.
That would be awesome.
Come on, listen up, Kevin. You heard it here.
Just hire us.
It's a great idea.
We'll give you these great ideas. So
thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, I'm supposed to wrap this segment.
You are. It's your segment. So we're waiting for you to do that.
Yeah. Wakanda Forever is set to wrap up Phase 4, as we've been talking about from what we've seen so far. It seems to be a pretty good one. And Wakanda Forever releases November 11th. So pretty soon. Although we're not going to be able to watch it.
See it to the 12th. Why do you have to be on a trip, Dad?
Yeah,
Sorry.
come on, Dad. Just
starving
come back.
children all over the world that I have to help.
Okay, yeah, no, that's kind of important.
Don't guilt me.
Guilt tripping us.
Anyway.
All right, anyway.
Good segment, Sam.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, it's my turn. Right.
It
All
is
right.
your turn. We're off our game.
We are tonight. There's only one movie hitting theaters and wide release this weekend. We just talked about it.
Is it Wakanda Forever?
I think that's coming out this weekend. But the trailers last week were definitely something to talk about. That's next on Movie Moments.
At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge.
All right. Don't think there's many movies. Oh, wait. Wakanda Forever. That's right.
We just talked about
yeah.
this.
So it's the description. This is a full plot synopsis.
Logline.
Ramonda, Shuri, M'Baku, Okoye, and the Dora Milaje fight to protect their nation from intervening world powers in the wake of King T'Challa's death. As the Wakandans strive to embrace their next chapter, the heroes must band together with the help of War Dog Nakia and Everett Ross and forge a new path for the Kingdom of Wakanda.
All right.
No Namor mentioned in that. That's a little weird.
That is interesting.
The director is Ryan Coogler. The cast is Letitia Wright, Lupita Nyong'o.
I put all of these on here for one reason. They're all above the line. We learned a little bit about that recently. And
why did you put every single name?
They were all listed, and I knew I wanted you to have to pronounce every single one of these.
Denai Guerrera. Guerrera. Winston Duke. I know that one. Dominique Thorne. Florence Kasumba. Gosh,
Actually, that's not Thorne.
Yes, it is.
It is Thorne.
It is Thorne.
You just need your
I
glasses.
thought it was
Thorm.
Michaela Cole, I guess. Tanook Huerta, Martin Freeman, and Angela Bassett.
Yeah.
Gosh,
Isn't Tanook Huerta? That's Namor, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The studio is Walt Disney. It's rated PG-13 for sequences of strong violence, action, and some language. That's actually a pretty fair and hard MCU PG-13
Yeah, that's
rating.
true.
Yes, we're going. I mean, we've already said.
Obviously.
For movie news, we got some trailers. We got Glass Onion. Looks fantastic.
Looks pretty good.
Looks like a lot of fun.
Really good.
I'm excited.
It's like Clue and Death on the Nile with Ryan Johnson flavor thrown in there.
Yes. And a lot of
Sauteed
comedy.
in a pan.
Yeah,
a lot
it looks
of
really
comedy.
good.
Yeah.
Next, Disenchanted. We don't have to talk about the other one.
Yes, we do.
Avatar: Way of Water.
I still need
It
to
doesn't
watch-
look terrible.
It does not look terrible.
I need to watch
it. Just
Still don't know why. Yeah, we still don't know why.
yeah,
You're right.
no idea why. It looks
Disenchanted,
pretty
though.
though. But
It does.
Disenchanted looks like a lot of fun.
I'm excited about it.
It's kind of the sequel that nobody asked for, but we'll all watch.
That's not true.
Well, people asked for an Enchanted
Since
sequel.
the very first movie came
I
out,
know.
people
I
have been
never
wanting
wanted
it.
an Enchanted sequel,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'm excited to see this one. It looks.
I mean,
good.
I've been dreaming of True Love's Kiss.
All right.
For a long time.
What's mom
For
going to
box
think of that?
Yeah, she.
All right, for box office results, Black Adam won for a third weekend in a row. Only
Let's
the
go.
third movie this year to accomplish that, which is
Awesome.
great. Made 18 million domestic and a total of 319 million worldwide.
what's his total?
Blowing out The Water of what the cap
projections were.
Really?
For the entire run. And it's only third weekend.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's probably
It's going to drop like crazy this weekend.
Yes,
oh yeah, because
I mean,
but it made it had a really solid
run.
That's good.
It passed the Suicide Squad.
That's
really
great.
And it's it's on the track to pass Shazam.
Wow.
So it's great.
That's good. That's good for DC.
Huge for DC. The next One Piece film, Red.
It's an anime film.
The anime,
9 million,
right?
If you're a fan of anime, 9 million domestic.
I know One Piece is a really popular anime from what I've heard.
Hugely popular. And then Ticket to Paradise. You saw it.
2 tickets to paradise.
Did they actually play that song?
No, they didn't. But it was a really fun movie.
False advertisement.
It was a fun movie.
It made 8 million, which
was
is
it
still
in the
strong for third
Oceanverse?
weekend.
No, it was not in the Oceanverse.
More false advertisement. Why do you hire those two as a main actor and actress and not have it tied to Oceans?
It was fun. It was, and you know what? That theater was well attended when we went yesterday afternoon.
Well, that's good.
So that was good.
It's up to you now. Yeah.
Is it my turn again?
Yeah, again.
All right. Episode 9 has some of Andor. That's what we're talking about.
Right. Yeah. Because you generally have the Star Wars top.
I do. I like Star Wars, by the way.
We do too.
Episode 9 has some of the most disturbing and uncomfortable content I've ever seen in Star Wars. But watching Kino Loy's reality collapse around him is by far the hardest part of it.
Yes.
Bulky religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
Rebellions are built on hope.
Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
If you live long enough, you see the same eyes in different people.
So we're getting Andy Serkis on the show, right?
Oh, I hope so.
That would be great.
That would be the
as an interview?
I mean, that would be fun.
Especially with his comments of him liking Rings of Power. Because he's smart.
And Alfred.
Yeah.
And the dude from the Prestige.
Uh-huh.
And Caesar.
Yeah.
Which y'all still need to watch.
Yeah, we need to watch
And
this.
Ulysses Claw.
Yeah, let's see. It even fits with this week.
And Kino Loy.
And Kino Loy. Let's talk a little bit about Kino Loy and some of
Snoke?
the others in Snoke. Yeah, he's Snoke too.
He's Snoke, I've heard.
And Kino Loy is Snoke.
Right,
and
obviously.
Gollum.
And Gollum. And Gollum is Snoke.
Gollum is Snoke.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm totally
clearly.
confused. All right. Let's talk about some of these key moments in this. The scene where Bix is tortured at the opening of this is honestly one of the most disturbing moments in Star Wars
set
history.
up the tone of the episode.
It did. So Dedra kind of turns her interrogation of Bix into something infinitely more horrifying than just asking questions with pressure, which is what
Pressure.
Pressure. Dung, 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 dung. All right. Anyway, you've got this Dr. Gorst, who honestly, to me, I know that we project our own thoughts on these things, but he gives a very Nazi scientist vibe.
Everybody's saying that.
In this, and he kind of makes that Nazi scientist Red Skull guy from the MCU come across.
Well, it wasn't. Who was the scientist? He was
Arnim
even in
Zola.
Zola.
No,
I think that's who you're thinking of.
He, either of them, he makes them look like Teletubbies.
Yeah.
Compared to that,
Yeah.
Sam, what's the worst part of this interrogation scene for you?
I mean, the thing that always stresses me out about torture scenes, I hate torture scenes, is
that's good.
Well, they just really make me uncomfortable, which I know is what they're supposed to do, but man, they get me. The worst part is always the lead up to it. And, you're sitting there and she's like hyping up this interrogation thing, right? And it's like, it's this horrible thing. We haven't tried it out yet. It's not really that invasive, but it's horrible. And you're like, what is this? And you're like, oh yeah, we're gonna put some headphones on you,
right? And then
and you're like, that's not
and
that
start
bad.
Playing Never Gonna Give You Up.
Never no, it's all I want for Christmas is you.
Yeah, that's
but like they're talking about the sound that they're playing and like how they got it, and I'm like, oh, this is intense. I thought that was crazy. I liked it well in a twisted way.
All right,
I don't know,
just like you like the prison shocking them yesterday.
Maybe there's something wrong going on upstairs. I need like help or something.
Right, BB Nate, what did you think?
I thought, of course, I'd be a little biased to this, but the sound part of this scene is so freaking
or lack
good.
thereof.
Or lack thereof. That was great. I mean, the hyping it up and then the dead silence, but the breathing of Bix and then her screams. It was all just perfect.
Good on for the actress. I don't remember her name.
Yes,
but she knocked it out of the park.
That was great. It made that scene so uncomfortable and horrifying, and it was perfect.
And then horrible. I loved it.
And then it closes out with a homage to the
I said that as soon as it happened.
Scene with Leia in the original Star Wars.
I thought this was going to be like how they tested out the interrogation droid.
I did too. I thought it was the interrogation droid.
No, it was infinitely worse.
It was.
They were like, maybe that's a little too much. Maybe we should just use like lethal injections.
Right. Bix's torture is absolutely terrifying. But then you have Cyril's stalker-esque obsession with Dedra, which is just as cringy as that is terrifying.
Horrible.
With this.
The memes that have come out of it though have been so good though.
But there was actually this moment during that where I was convinced that Dedra was actually into Cyril. Like she was into. I was like, she's gonna kiss him right now. As I'm sitting there,
what the heck is going on?
Watching that.
This gives us our first happy family in Star Wars.
We'll go with it.
The two of them deserve each other. Anyway,
it's about as healthy as Joker and Harley Quinn.
Right.
But.
So, BB-Nate, what in the galaxy is that whole storyline really about?
I don't know.
Why is he obsessed with her?
There has to be something in his cereal. I mean, the Star Wars tricks. The Star Wars tricks. I don't know what his mom found in his personal box, but I'm not sure if I want to know. Any of us. This is one of these strangest
We're pretty
storylines.
PG. Let's not cross any lines.
I'm not crossing any lines. I'm not sure what this storyline's supposed to be.
Hold on. I have to go here.
Oh no.
She found the video that Chewbacca's dad's watching in the holiday special.
Right. That's why she moved on from the topic. So she's like, I don't want to talk about this.
He's like, what did you find in my box? And it was that.
Oh, man.
But this is one of the strangest storylines to come out of Star Wars since the holiday special. And I really hope it gets resolved soon. Because I'm just confused right now. I don't know if it's just his love for the Empire is projecting onto Dedra or what it is, but he's lost it.
One thing they've been doing in this whole series is they've been showing the different types of people who live in the Star Wars universe, right? We see just about every, for lack of a better term, character that you could see in Star Wars. And one character we really haven't seen before that does exist in the real world, sadly, is creepy stalker people. I mean, let's just be honest. These people exist. Yeah. They fixate on someone over some weird thing like getting interrogated, and they just stick with it. This dude obviously is really like invested and passionate about
finding Cassian
and Cassian and stuff, and he's projecting that on. I already forgot her name. Dedra, because she's invested in it too. And there's this weird like crosswire thing that's going on in his brain. And while it's creepy and twisted, it's not outside the realm of possibility. And it's frankly interesting
wildly
to
compelling
see.
to watch.
It is. It's interesting.
Working in a cubicle messes you up.
That's true, because I've done it, and it'll screw with your head with that.
Maybe that's what's happening to Sam here.
Yeah, maybe. He's working in a cubicle at Airbus now, and so he's starting to get twisted.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, the way that they shock those prisoners and that,
so cool.
That torture scene. All right.
I wish that was me.
Time for a trip to Disney World. All right. We need to get to the happiest place on earth fast. All right. Let's talk about Mon Mothma.
College gives me dark thoughts.
Exactly. Mon Mothma, she needs money.
Don't we all?
Yeah, well, that's true. Originally, I kind of thought she was intricately involved in organizing the rebellion. I thought that's what we were seeing with her in this. But now I kind of get the feeling that she's aware of some of the elements going on, like the conversation she's having with Luthen and such, but is mostly just involved in raising funds.
Right.
For it. Sam, what do you think, or what did what was your thought process when you found out that Vel is her cousin?
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty interesting reveal, honestly. It showed the kind of the difference between what Mon Mothma was doing and what the rest of the rebellion's doing is like her own family, who came from the same wealth that she did, same culture, realized that they needed boots on the ground, and so they were willing to leave that lifestyle, that cushy lifestyle, to live in a tent for months just because they were so convicted. And I think that's
that looked like a comfy tent.
Huh? Oh yeah,
like
well, it's a Star Wars tent,
exactly.
But I think this will be a key part in really, for lack of a better term, radicalizing Mon Mothma to where she gets to the point that she is in.
Something's going to happen to Vel?
Yeah, or that, or she just like, she sees, probably something with Vel, but like seeing the sacrifices Vel made for this rebellion will convince her to be like, all right, I need to get more involved. Not just like here's some money, go do what you need to do, but like actively get involved to the point that she is in Rogue One and A New Hope and stuff.
Yeah, I honestly think that Vel got Mothma into the rebellion. I feel like Vel's been in this for a while, and
so Mothma was trying to function within the politics of things, and she's getting pulled in by Vel. Okay,
it wouldn't surprise me. I also don't know why Vel couldn't use her money for the rebellion if she's has the money of the family. That's a little wondering why.
Maybe she's already spent it all.
I mean, honestly, she could, or maybe she just didn't have as much.
Mothma said, "Well, what you can do for me is be a spoiled rich girl for a little while."
That's true. She did say that.
So.
Well, she was living at Mon Mothma's.
So BB Nate throwing in plot holes. Thanks a lot, BB Nate.
Oh, Nate.
Of course.
Jeez.
But maybe it's because the transfers of funds from Vel to Mothma could be suspicious in large amounts.
No, it's like there's either like a 5 to 6 business day thing, or they can do it instantly, but there's a heavy fee.
I remember, I had to wire a bunch of money before, and it was like my money, and I'm wiring it from my account to another account, and I had to like go through like an interrogation with the bank on the phone in order to get permission to do it.
It's me.
It's my money. They're like, we know it's yours, but. No. And I'm like, It's my money.
So what would I do if I just withdraw it and then put it into the other account?
I know. I'm like, send me checks. We don't do checks. What? It's my money. Anyway, I remember having that conversation when we were in Orlando.
It's probably even more bureaucratic in Star Wars, if we're being honest.
I always thought that Vel was related to Luthen. So do you think that that's connected in here too? That Mothma is related to Luthen? I thought Luthen was Vel's
uncle.
Dad. I thought Luthen was Vel's dad, and so that would make
Luthen
Mothma's uncle.
I could see that. I could see
it happening though.
Yeah,
I do get that family.
So it could be that the money that you're concerned about with Vel has already been used up by Luthen, and they can't let anybody know.
That's a good
because
point.
they have to continue to maintain this facade of stuff.
I like that.
With that, the most fascinating part of this episode, in my opinion, was watching Kino Loy go from with Cassian in prison, right? So Kino Loy is Andy Serkis's character. With that, watching him go from fully bought into the Imperial prison procedure. And going from that to ready to hear what Cassian has in mind, like, talk to me here. He really does seem to be in denial through most of this episode about the situation that they're in. But then when the old guy on the team, Olaf, is that was his name? Olaf, on the team dies, he learns the truth about what's going on. BB Nate, what did you think when you found out that all of the men on level 2, 100 men or whatever, had been exterminated? Because that's what happened.
Yeah, that was shocking.
I mean, that's like,
come on.
I know
you get on to me, Nate, and then you make jokes like that.
Well, no, I mean, we see like whole planets destroyed, and all of that, but for some reason this feels different. They're prisoners and they're being.
Well, the difference is at this point we've gone on a slight journey to see what the prisoners go through on a day-to-day life. With Alderaan, it was just Alderaan. It just blew up. We didn't have any connection to it.
Instantaneous for Alderaan. But for them, they were fried.
Yeah, we've seen that process. It ain't pretty.
And that takes a while. And it's just horrible.
Right.
And they did it to a whole 100 men.
Just
because they found out that one person got back in because they didn't let him release. They didn't silence that one person or anybody who knew. They just killed the entire floor.
Because it's easier to maintain the info.
But it apparently it's still gotten out. So it's not working for them, and it's.
But what got out was that 100 men had been exterminated.
Well, but and why?
Well,
that's the
that's
important
true.
thing.
So.
And it's just, it was very, very horrible.
Yeah,
it's disturbing.
Yeah,
I'm a little worried to see what Sam says.
Hey, I'm not gonna.
It was awesome.
Great crowd control.
Yeah, it was efficient. No, it's horrible. This just because. The Empire's doing horrible things. First, they tell these guys, "Look, you've only got so many days to get out. You're about to get out. It's great. That's what's keeping these men going, right?
Double.
Oh, wait, no, we're just gonna throw you in another level, and if you say anything, we're gonna fry everybody on this level." It's just the Empire being the Empire, just being there's no way to put it other than they're just being evil. They've got a free labor force. So they're not gonna get rid of that. Oh, you guys figured out our trick. Well, we'll just kill you all because we can get more pretty easy. I mean, as you can see, Andor got busted for, 6 years
for looking funny at a droid.
Yeah, they can get 100 men easy. So it's just it's evil. It's pure evil. So yeah, that was a really, really shocking moment. In this episode. So,
well, BB Nate over here cracking.
Oh, he cracked that joke already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. All right, so we should probably just move into a dad moment.
Yeah, we need it.
I am your father.
In my opinion, Kino Loy is the most compelling character in this entire series.
Mm-hmm.
When we meet him, he is actually a part of the system of control, and he's learned to survive imprisonment by playing by the rules and just counting down the days until he's released. But then when the system begins to break down all around him, his illusion of safety breaks down with it. And I think it's interesting because we're all guilty of this to some extent. Our political party would never cheat.
No.
Either side. Of the issue. Our religious leaders are always telling us the truth. My kids would never do that. We
wouldn't, though.
You guys, my kids would never do that. Anyway, we construct these narratives that allow us to feel secure when in reality nothing is really what it seems with it. It's like what the writer of the book of Ecclesiastes in the Bible says. He seeks out. It's the thing.
That's a depressing book right there.
He seeks out all of these different systems and ways of thinking, and he goes and he tests them all, only to conclude that each is vanity, he says, or he even describes it like a chasing after the wind. And this can be devastating when we realize this truth. But then the writer of that book also comes to a conclusion at its very end, and he says, the end of the matter, all has been heard. Fear God, keep his commandments. This is the whole duty of man, for God will bring every deed into judgment with every secret thing, whether good or evil. And so there's this idea of, yes, the world around you is uncertain and not what you seem, and we fool ourselves a lot with it. But in the end, the security that you have is that there is a God. Honor him, obey him, and trust that he's going to win out in the end with it. So I know I teased it earlier. We talked about it earlier, but we have been privileged to see episode 10.
Honestly, we have
already.
a lot more respect for the actors who do panels and stuff.
Yes.
Like not spoiling things, because it is so difficult sometimes
Last
to talk
week's
about
episode
stuff.
was so difficult to record.
Man, it was tough.
And there were so many
And
times
this one too, because I had to make sure, did that scene happen in 10 or did that happen in 9? Right. And last week was just as bad. I had to do that with two episodes.
I know.
So I promise you, though, for all of you listening to this, that episode 10 is going to be all that Star Wars fans are talking about for some time. It is
for at least a week.
Oh, at least a week. No, we haven't seen 11 or 12 yet. So, but that one was fantastic. That was awesome. All right.
Good segment.
Thank you, guys. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Anything else?
Speaking of Andy Serkis, he really, really enjoyed Rings of Power.
He did. He said
he's
that.
a smart dude.
That's good.
Who's narrated the audiobooks for Lord of the Rings
and
will be narrating the Silmarillion. So he knows his Lord of the Rings people. He was chosen by the Tolkien estate to voice these books. He knows what he's talking about.
So
at least he's very familiar with the content.
He's very familiar with the content.
So haters, shut up.
All right.
That's about as heated as
new Shazam! Fury of the Gods poster released. It's a fun little poster. He's riding a scooter.
I'm just ready for Shazam
with a little hang loose sign.
I think I'm excited. I was excited about Shazam just coming out of Black Adam, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah. We have to have a new trailer though.
Please. Yeah, we need a new trailer. Maybe not anytime soon. Star Wars: The Acolyte cast has been revealed, and Carrie-Ann Moss, Trinity from The Matrix, is joining.
I guess she's not going to be in Daredevil, Born Again.
Why did they think that they were?
She was in that universe. She was big in Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. And she was in Defenders. So,
that's right.
She could be in both.
She doesn't need to be.
She doesn't. No, that's.
But that's Trinity. So
it is Trinity. I'm excited. I'm excited about that. The description of it sounds really fascinating too.
What was that?
Jedi Padawan who's left the Order. What is it? She has to come back with her master and find her master because of something.
Because of some mystery, but they find out there's some sinister forces behind it, which is set right at the end of the High Republic, where the Sith start to rise up again. Ooh. So they're going to be probably the first to discover the Sith are. Expect both of the characters to die by the end of the series.
It'll be curious to see how that plays out. All right, I think that's going to do it. That's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Bye. Oh, no, that's not how we end it. Thank you so much for listening to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast. We appreciate it.
Yes, if you had a good time listening, it would be awesome if you would share this with your friends and family and whatever.
All your peeps.
Yes,
you can play it for your dog while you leave the house.
You can parrot. Maybe he'll start saying
that'd
stuff.
Be awesome.
Yeah.
So
and maybe not. And of course, the show is only a small part of the Tatooine Sons world. So be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and join our Facebook discussion group to get in on all of the action. You can also keep up to date with everything we've got going on at TatooineSons.com.
That's right. And I know I mentioned it at the opening of the show, but I'll mention it again here. Don't forget to follow the show on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss our next episode. And make sure you know what Sam said, following on Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff, because we've got a video coming out with some cool stuff.
Yes, sir.
And give us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever podcast app you prefer. I think that's going to do it for this week. Anything else you guys would like to say?
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you, always.
This party's over.
I like that Wookiee.
Don't get technical with me.
Join, please.